exciting. I'm glad you thanks, bro. That made me feel better. By the way, I'm gonna kick that over, right? At some point, it would be horrible. I'm excited you guys are with us. My name is Brian. I'm a high school pastor here at Hebron. If I haven't met you yet, we're starting a brand new series tonight that is called Measure Up. And in this series, we're talking about the powers of comparison. Because students, you guys know this, right? Like as people, human beings, we love to compare ourselves to other people. We love to kind of play this game where we measure ourselves up based by the people who happen to be around us, or the people that we follow, or the people that we like, or the people that we celebrate, the celebrities that we look to. We are people who are naturally designed to compare ourselves against other people. Sometimes the way we compare is on stuff that is really important. Sometimes we can look at people's lives and use it as motivation to change ourselves. Sometimes we compare ourselves against things that are useless, stupid, silly, not important. For example, when I was in 7th grade, I went to this school that was called Risley Middle School. I didn't go to elementary school in 7th grade. That'd be crazy. Risley Middle School was like the poor kids' school in my town. It was the lowest of the lows. The kids' parents couldn't take care of one. It was a tough environment. And in my 7th grade year, the town decided to change everything, to redistribute all the students in different places. And they changed me from Risley Middle School, the poorest kid, to Jane Macon, the richest, I can't speak, y'all, the richest kid school, right? And so I was nervous, because I had done all the work in 6th and 7th grade to kind of stand or set up myself who I was going to be at Risley. But now that I was at Jane Macon, I had to hang out with the rich kids, the kids who live on the island, the people whose kids have money. And I had to figure out who I was going to be. And I was nervous because I was afraid people were going to look down on me because I came from a poor kid school. And so I was always looking for the chance for me to step up, to show that I was like special or cool or different, and build up that popularity thing inside of me. And I had my chance. There was a girl whose name was Amy, and she had this big 8th grade year party. Maybe the first or second week of school. And she invited me to her house. And so I showed up to her house, and it was the biggest house that I'd ever seen. She had like a whole pond that was just for her family's space. And I was watching all these kids, and I was like, this is my chance. Like I gotta show off. I gotta like dominate all these students. I gotta set the standard high enough so everyone, will look at me and I feel better at myself, and I'll elevate my self-confidence and my self-fulfillment, all that kind of stuff. So I'm trying to look for an opportunity to respond, and I found one. She had a trampoline. So any trampoline friends? Do you guys have trampolines as kids growing up? Yeah. So this is the old school trampoline. It was a rectangle. There was no match, just like, those springs that you could jump on, and a few of them were missing. But I was watching the trampoline, and there was a kid who was jumping on it. And he had a group of 18 girls. They were like all watching him. He was showing off, and he was doing the weakest tricks ever. He was like jumping and landing like Indian style, hopping up. Like it was a big deal. And I was like, this is my chance. This is my chance to show this kid up, and I'm going to prove to everyone at Jane Macon that I'm the world's greatest trampoliner ever. And so I go up to the trampoline, I'm watching him, and I was like, kicking my shoes off. I was like, hey, bro, let me hop up here. I was like, all right, I'm going to go for it. I was like, yeah, I'm going to go for it. So I hop up the trampoline. I'm like, yo, watch. First thing I do, backflip. Set the tone right. It's the best trick I could do. Blew that kid out of the water in the moment. Then I'm showing off. I did the front flips. I could do like this aerial with a half a twist. And I was so proud of myself. And I had the girls were like, oh, there's this new kid. He's the world's greatest trampoliner. And I went from being like the nobody to suddenly having all this influence in this moment. And I felt good because that kid lost. I was like, that kid stinks. I'm better than him. Like he thought he was cool, but he's not. I'm better. And when I'm jumping on the trampoline, another kid comes up and he's like, hey, dude, can I hop up? And I was like, yeah, if you want to, you don't got a chance. So I moved off to the side, and he bounces for a couple seconds. And then he jumps, and he did a double backflip. The very first thing he did, and immediately I lost everything. Like in that moment, I thought I was better than that first kid. I had built up all these things. People were looking at me. I was comparing myself. I was like, I'm the best. And this kid shows up, does a double backflip, the whole thing falls apart. And I'm like, I hated that kid. We became friends later because he was better than me at everything. And the only way to beat him was to join him. But have you ever been in one of those moments before where you're comparing yourself against other people? Maybe not something as silly as a trampoline, right? But you have a group of friends that you hang out with, and you see these other people, and their groups, their squads are so much better. You're like, man, what's wrong with my group? You start comparing yourself against the other people's. Or maybe it's your home. You show up at someone's house, and you're blown away. Like, man, I thought my house was all right, but this person was crazy. What is different about this? Maybe it's relationships. Maybe it's things that you struggle with. Maybe it gets deeper, and it's more important, it's more painful, and more real. For me, one of the things I always struggle with, especially when I compare myself, and I still do this, is when it comes to my family, to my parents. They pretty much hate each other my whole life. They lived in separate rooms up to the point where they finally got divorced, and I hated it. And I would look at other people's lives and families and be like, man, why can't my parents be like their parents? Why can't my mom be like her mom, or my dad be like that guy's dad? And now My oldest son, June, turned 5 on Monday, and a birthday party for him over the weekend. And so my mom showed up with her weird boyfriend and my dad, and we're all sitting in the house watching the Georgia game, and it's awkward, and I hate it. And I hate the fact that now I got to explain to my kids what divorce is. Now they know. Now my kids will be, they'll have that fear in them that maybe one day mom and daddy will separate the way Grandma and Papa Tom did at some point. I know what that feeling feels like. And if you were going to be honest, I bet you felt the same way before, where you looked at the people that were around you, and you started deciding who you were based on how you fit in that structure. You're cooler than this person, you're not as good as this person. You're in the mix somewhere in between. And here's the question. Why do we like to gauge ourselves on other people's lives, even though we know it causes us pain? Even though it makes things difficult and it hurts? Like, why do we constantly compare ourselves, constantly measure ourselves based on the people that are all around us, even if we know it's unhealthy and it hurts and it causes us pain? Why do we do it over and over? There's a bunch of reasons. Maybe, like me, you're just super competitive and you want to be the world's greatest trampoliner at one point. So it bothers you that there are people better. Maybe it's jealousy. You just hate the fact that people have things that you don't have and you want to have it because you think it would make a difference. Maybe you just want to feel unique and special and different, and it bothers you. There are people who do things that are better than you do. Those are all reasons that we kind of face. But here, I think, is the real problem. Beyond all those examples and all those issues, the real problem comes down to fear. Now, then when it comes to comparing ourselves and measuring ourselves based on the people who are around us, the real issue is fear. Fear that if we were going to measure ourselves, we knew we wouldn't measure up. Maybe we're not as popular as we think we are. Our friends don't really like us as much as they act like they do. Maybe we're not as talented as we want to be, or we are not liked as much, or smart as much, or as gifted or athletic as we really think that we are, and we have that fear rising up inside of us. The real issue is fear. And the desire to compare yourself to others is more than just social media. It happens in our friends. It happens at school when you're hanging out with people that you know. It happens in your home. It even happens here at church. Something inside of us says we should compare. We should look at the people who are all around us. We should look at the people who surround us and measure our lives based off of what they do, because we're really afraid that maybe we're just not good enough. That maybe people really found out who we were. We couldn't live up to this facade that we put on ourselves. Maybe you really can't measure up. And here's how you know you're struggling with this. You start having these fill-in-the-blank conversations that happen in your mind. You guys have those moments where you're having that conversation that's just between you and yourself, and you start having those fill-in-the-blank moments. Here's a few of those conversations that you know that you hear. The first is this. You would say, if I were just blank, if I were just fill in the blank, if I were just smarter, if I was just more talented, if I was richer, if my parents made better money, if I went to a different school, if I looked like that person, if I dated that person, if I just had whatever the thing is. That's that fear coming up inside of you, thinking that my life would be better if I lived up to this other person's standard, this other person's life. So we start saying, what if I just had this? If I had this one thing, it would make all the difference in the world. Another one of those conversations where you fill in the blank with yourself is this. You say to yourself, I'll never be as fill in the blank as them. Some of us struggle with this. Not saying we need more, we just look at other people and we say, I'll never be as good as that person. I'll never be as smart, I'll never be as talented, I'll never have that kind of relationship, I'll never have that kind of friends, I'll never have this opportunity, I'll never have what they have. And the danger of that conversation is you will begin to give up. Say, it's not worth it, why should I try? Why should I pursue these ambitions? Why should I live my life a certain way if all I know I will be is never what those people have? The third one that is also dangerous is this. We say, well, at least I'm fill in the blank than them. I might not be the coolest in school, but at least I'm better than that kid. Or at least I'm not as ugly as that kid, or I'm not as poor as that kid, or I'm not as dumb as that kid, or I'm not on my own as much as that kid. At least I'm not this person. And we start trying to make ourselves feel better by lowering people. We have this need to measure up against the people that are around us. We have this need to compare ourselves. And if we're not cautious, we're going to begin to judge other people because we think it makes us feel better. And what's scary about feeling better than other people is it feels good. It feels good for a while. Like feeling superior, feeling smarter, feeling funnier, feeling more popular. It makes us feel better for just a while. But the truth is, it ends up making us feel empty. Just feel empty. we compare ourselves against other people's lives, and in the end, it brings us down. So why do we do this? Why do we consistently and constantly compare ourselves to other people's lives? Why is this something that seems like it's hardwired in us? And what should we do if we're comparing ourselves to others when it causes us pain, it hurts us, it holds us back? Why do we do that comparison game over and over again? It's consistent and constant comparison. The good news is the Bible actually talks about this. It talks about it by a guy named Solomon. Tonight we're going to be in Ecclesiastes. Ecclesiastes chapter 4. You can follow along with me. Ecclesiastes chapter 4. It's going to be on page 359 if you're using one of the high school Bibles. Real quick, if you don't have a Bible and you want one of those Bibles under the seat, those are for you. And that's for you. But Solomon was a man that had a unique experience with God. God showed up to Solomon and said, Solomon, I will give you whatever you want. Tell me what you want. You can have power, you can have money, you can have influence, you can have fame. Tell me what you want. Solomon says, God, I want wisdom. And God is impressed. He says, well, Solomon, because you chose wisdom, I will give you all the other things as well. You have the wisdom, you have power, you have the fame, you have the money, you have all those things. And Solomon spent his life pursuing comparison, pursuing the things that he think was going to satisfy him, that he thinks was going to elevate him, he thought was going to give him life. He tried power, he tried money, he tried relationships, he tried everything that he had, and he found that none of it worked. And in Ecclesiastes, he writes out some of the truths that he learned, some of the futile things, the useless things that we pursue. He's battling against that comparison trap that so many of us face. Let me say this real quick, students. Maybe the reason some of you are so dissatisfied with who you are is because you're trapped in this comparison game. You're constantly judging yourself based on other people, or you're constantly pressing other people down to elevate yourself. And because of that, you feel that emptiness. You feel that dissatisfaction in who you are as a person. Every time you look in the mirror, you say something's wrong with me. Every time you go on Snapchat and you feel guilty or bored or angry or mad that someone's better than you. When you're at school or with your friends or in rehearsals or here at church, maybe the reason that you feel so dissatisfied with who you are is because you're stuck in this trap. And Solomon writes about this in Ecclesiastes. He writes it this way. Ecclesiastes chapter 4, starting in verse 4, he says this, I saw all the labor and all the skillful work that is due to one person's jealousy of another. He's saying that all this desire that we have, all the work, all the struggle, all the pain that we put ourselves through, it comes down to the fact that we are just jealous. We're looking at other people's lives and we want what they have, and we think that our lives would be better if we just got more. If we just had more. People toil and they work and they struggle against it. It all comes down to jealousy of another person. He says, this is futile. It's a pursuit of the wind. It's useless. You can't catch the wind. It is a waste of your time. It is a waste of your life. Verse 5 says, the fool folds his arms and he consumes his own flesh. Better one hand with rest than two handfuls with effort and pursuit of the wind. When he's saying this, I'm not saying you should be lazy. I'm not saying you should do nothing. I'm not saying you should fold your arms and give up. That's not the goal. He's still saying you should have ambitions, you should have dreams, you should have things that you pursue. But what he's saying is you shouldn't hold on to that comparison so hard that you refuse to let go. That while you're working, you should always leave one hand open, knowing that God can reach in and take something from you or give you something that you need. If you grab onto everything so hard, it's useless. It is futile. Verse 7, he says again, I saw futility under the sun, and there was a person without companion, without even a son or a brother. And though there was no end to all his struggles, his eyes were still not content with the riches. He said, who am I struggling for, he asked, and depriving myself of good things? This too is a futile and miserable task. He said there's a man who had no sons, he had no brothers, he had no family. He had no one to pass on all the riches and the stuff that he gathered to leave behind his inheritance. And even though he had nothing to leave behind, all he did was struggle. And all we did was work to get more and to get more and to get more. He says, why am I doing this? What's the point of all of this? Solomon says it's futile. It's useless. We love to play this game where we measure ourselves against the other people that just happen to be around us, but we know that in the end, they never really bring us anything. I want to say this for students, and here's what you gotta know. That trying to measure up only brings you down. That in the end, this game of comparison, this game of measuring yourself up, this game of looking at other people's lives, that in the end it will only bring you down. It may make you feel better for a moment, or you may consistently struggle with that dissatisfaction of who you are and where you are. But in the end, just trying to measure up will always bring you down. And this is why this is so dangerous. This is why it's so dangerous. Because in the end, consistent comparison, it leads to anxieties. It leads to that fear, that low-grade, constant fear and pressure that is pressing against our lives. Fear and anxiety steals joy. It takes away the life that God wants for you. Some of us know exactly what that feels like. That pressure, that anxiety that some of us struggle through. Maybe you haven't really experienced that, and I want to do an experiment. I want you just to feel maybe a little bit of anxiety by sharing with you the most anxiety-inducing board game that I ever had as a kid. When I was a kid, I used to play this game that was called Perfection. Do you guys ever play Perfection? You know what I'm talking about? It was horrible. It's a terrible game. Yeah, right? Here's how this game works, right? You sit down with this machine, you pull all those little plastic pieces and you set them aside. You take the timer and you set it for a minute, and then you get stuck. And then it makes a horrible sound. It's like, 60 seconds of just noise, and your job is to pick up all those little yellow pieces and put them in the right spot before the timer runs out. And if the timer runs out, the whole thing shoots in your face, and it blows those yellow things in your face, and it's like, hey, you are a failure because you can't win a kid's game. And it was like one of the most stressful experiences I had as a little kid. And my son, Jude, my oldest, had his birthday party this weekend. Someone bought him Perfection to play, and I sat him down with him and I said, Jude, I'm going to teach you about anxiety. And he said, what is that? And I was like, you will see. And so I sat him down and I made him play the game, and I filmed him, right? I didn't film the first one because it almost made me cry, but I filmed the second one, and I just want us all to sit here in the anxiety that this game brings on. So it's a minute of Jude playing Perfection. By the way, he doesn't have pants on. Sorry, y'all, it's weird, but it'll be all right. So we're just going to sit in this. If you've never played Perfection, never play it again because it's the worst game ever. Y'all check this out. It's the worst game ever, right? So just in case you've never felt anxiety, I just wanted you all to feel just a little bit of it. So anxiety is this constant fear, this low-grade fear that starts off small, but it grows and it grows and it grows and it begins to build up inside of you, and you start to fear. And you start to separate your faith and be overwhelmed with that fear. And you'll start to feel the pressure of saying, man, I don't think I'll ever be good enough. Sometimes people feel like they know that something bad is going to happen. You can't escape that pressure of trying to perform. I feel like that you'll never fit in, that you'll never be all right, that something is wrong. That anxiety grows inside of us, and anxiety will steal joy from you. So when we try to measure up, all it does is bring us down. In the end, that's so dangerous because that constant comparison, it creates anxiety in us. And a life that is ruled by that kind of fear and that kind of anxiety, Solomon says it's pursuing the wind. It's a wasted life. It's not what God wants for you, for us. That pressure of trying to live up, that fear that's growing inside of us, that feeling that you'll never be good enough, and you're just not satisfied with who you are, that's not the way it's supposed to be. There's got to be a better way to live, and that desire to compare seems like it's natural, but there has to be a better way. And the good news is Jesus gives us a better way. More than just give us, Jesus is the better way. He provides an option. We don't have to choose comparison and anxiety and fear. There is another choice. There is another option. One that He promises doesn't fill us with fear, but gives us hope and gives us life, and life in abundance. Jesus shows us the better way, the better choice in Matthew chapter 6. Matthew chapter 6, starting verse 25. You guys can read along with me. Jesus is speaking to people just like us, who've been battling with that anxiety, that fear, that trap of comparing ourselves against other people's lives and trying to measure up to the people who are around us. And he says there's a better way. Verse 25 says, therefore I tell you, don't worry about what you will eat or what you will drink, about your body or what you will wear. And how much time do we spend every day worrying about the way that we look and what we're going to wear? He says, isn't life more than food and the body more than clothes? He's saying, like, what happened, people? Don't you understand? There's more to life than comparison. There's more to life than fear. There's more to life to anxiety. You're more than what you'll eat or what you look like. There's so much more to life. Why are you wasting your time trapped in this comparison game? He says life is more than all that. Jesus says, I have something better. Verse 26, consider the birds of the sky. They don't sow or reap or gather into the barns, yet your heavenly Father, He feeds them. He says, aren't you worth more than they are? And when you become a follower of Jesus, and then you confess with your mouth, and you believe in your heart, and you accept Jesus, you follow Him, you surrender your life to Him. Like Ronnie said, you say, God, have all of me. You become a son or a daughter of the King. And now you have God not just as your God, but also as your Father. And Jesus is saying, don't you know how valuable you are? That this God of the universe cares so much, He will take care of these little tiny birds, and you are worth so much more to Him. So much that I will sacrifice myself on the cross. I will leave the glory of heaven behind to come for you. You don't have to be defined by fear or anxiety or comparison. You are worth more. You have a Father who cares about you. He says, can any of you add just one moment to your life by worrying? Why are you worrying about your clothes? Look at the wildflowers in the field. They don't labor or spin thread. I'll tell you this, even Solomon in all of his splendor wasn't even adorned like one of these. That's how God clothed the grass in the field, which is here today and thrown into the furnace tomorrow. Won't He do so much more for you, you of little faith? That anxiety, that pressure, it takes faith out of your life and it replaces it with fear. And He's saying you don't have to be defined by fear, but be defined by that anxiety, defined by that comparison trap. Don't you understand that if you know the God who loves you and the sacrifices He made for you, that there is a better option, there is a better choice. You can know Him as a Father, and you can be freed from that fear by trusting in that God who loves you. He's saying there's better, there's more to this. He says, don't worry saying, what will I eat, or what will I drink, or what will I wear? For the Gentiles, they eagerly seek these things. That word Gentiles means people who don't know God. He's saying, don't live your life like you can't trust God, or you don't know Him. Seek first the kingdom of God and His righteousness, and everything else, all these things will be provided for you. Therefore, don't worry about tomorrow, because tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough of its own. Our natural desire is to compare. And as we pursue comparison, it will fill us with anxiety, and anxiety steals joy. It steals the life that God wants for us. But we don't have to choose comparison. We can choose something different. We can choose to trust. And here's what I want you to do, students. Here's what I want all of us to practice. Here's what Jesus is teaching in Matthew 6. That we can choose trust over comparison. That we don't have to be stuck in that trap. We don't have to be stuck in the comparison game. We don't have to try to measure up. We can choose to trust God instead. To make the decision to follow Jesus, to pursue Him and know Him as our Father. And once you know that God is your Father and how good He is, regardless of what happens in your life, regardless if it's good or if it's bad, if it's easy or if it's difficult, you don't have to fear because you know that He is good and He is a Father. You can choose trust over comparison. And that's what I want all of us to do. So how do you do that? How do you choose trust over comparison? Here's what you do. You train your mind. You renew your mind. In the moments when you start to have those fill-in-the-blank conversations with yourself, you stop and you speak to God. When that conversation comes up and you say, man, if only I had whatever that thing is, if only I was smarter, if only I was better, if only I had friends or people cared about me more, if I was more popular, or my parents wouldn't have been separated, regardless of what it is, instead of letting that conversation rise up in you, you stop and you say, no, I will choose trust over that fear. Choose trust over that anxiety. In Philippians 4, Jesus says that that we should not be anxious about anything. That we don't have to have that anxiety inside of us. But through prayer and petition, we can present our requests to God, and then the peace of God, which goes beyond all understanding, surpasses all understanding, will guard your heart and your mind in that moment when you start to say, man, if I only had that, you stop, you choose trust over that fear and over that anxiety. When you start to say, man, I will never be as good as whatever that person has. You stop and you say, I have everything that I need. He cares about the birds, He cares about the plants. My Father in heaven is good, and I can trust Him. And I don't have to give into that fear. And I don't have to give into that anxiety. You can practice trusting God, choosing trust over comparison. When you start to think that the only way to make yourself feel better is to look down on someone else, or to make fun of those other people, or to make those people feel worse, and you feel better about yourself, then stop it. You don't have to live that way. You don't have to feel guilty and dissatisfied with who you are. You can know our God in heaven as if He is the Father, and you can experience His love. You don't have to be trapped in that comparison game. You can experience real life and life in abundance. So here's what I want us to do. In this last moment, we're going to sing our last song, this last moment of worship. And as we go into this moment of worship, I want you to practice trusting, to choose trusting. That means if you're a follower of Jesus, this is your chance to say to God, God, I'm sorry for the times I didn't trust you. I'm sorry for the times that I got wrapped up in comparing my lives to other people, the times that I put other people down, or I tried to make other people feel worse, or I just didn't trust you to take care of me. In this last moment, followers of Jesus, you can pray and say, God, forgive me at the time I chose anxiety or comparison or fear over trust, and choose to trust. But also, if you're here tonight and you have never experienced what Jesus offers, if you've never experienced that moment when you surrender your sin and you take on Jesus' righteousness, then none of the stuff that we talked about will make a difference. You can do your best to escape the comparison game. You can do your best in trying to feel better or changing who you think you are, but without Jesus, without having that real relationship with Him, none of it will make a difference. If you're here tonight and you want to know what it means to experience that kind of freedom and that kind of trust and that kind of love, the kind of life that isn't defined by comparison or by fear, this is your opportunity to say yes to Him. If you want to start that relationship with Jesus, here's what you do. You confess. You confess with your mouth that I am guilty, that I have committed crimes against a holy and a perfect God, and I deserve the consequences of those sins. You accept that He is the Lord. You believe in your heart that God raised Him from the dead. Say, Jesus, I know I sinned against you. I know that I am guilty, but you said that if I trust in you, I believe in you, I repent and surrender my life to you, you would take my sins and you would give me your life, and I can be set free, and then you can experience what it means to have the kind of peace that surpasses all understandings. And if you're here tonight, you've never started that relationship, this is your chance. I'm going to stand on the edge of the room. If you want to talk to me, come and talk to me. I'd love to share what it takes to become a follower. You can go to one of your friends, find one of the leaders who are all around the room. If you want to start that relationship with Jesus, don't let this moment pass. For the rest of us, let's practice choosing trust over comparison. Choosing trust over fear and over anxiety. So you guys pray with me. So Father, I want to thank you so much for your love. I thank you for the fact that you don't leave us alone, that we don't have to live a life that is consistently filled with fear and anxiety and stress and depression. God, thank you for the fact that we don't have to measure our success based on other people's lives or put other people down so we can feel better about who we are. God, thank you for providing us a better way.